This video is made possible by Practical Defense Systems, the best online security training at the lowest prices. You can start your security career today online at pdsclasses.com. Check them out. Now, if you're wondering where the gun videos have gone, don't worry. I'm going to be posting some this coming week that are actually pretty cool, so you can look forward to those. In the meantime, I just wanted to take you through the supermarket that's close to my house because you'll notice that there's actually quite a bit of food in it. Now, look, I know that a lot of people are giving you the doom and gloom thing. The world's coming to an end. You better be packing up all kinds of ammunition. You better put yourself in your bunker and hide out. Could that be necessary? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think it's important for us all to be prepared for the worst. But it troubles me that so many people are preparing for the worst while at the same time hoping for the worst. I would rather prepare for the worst and hope for the best. So at least on this channel, I want to bring you hope. I would rather bring you hope than convince you constantly that the government is out to get you, that it's all a conspiracy, and that the world is coming to an end, the country is coming to an end, and we're all going to die. Because the truth is, I don't believe any of that. I think a lot of it is nonsense. Now, I am prepared for the worst, yes. I have firearms. I'm very well trained with them. I'm a law enforcement firearms instructor. I'm not going to talk about my past too much, but I've served felony warrants. I've gotten in people's faces. I've had knives pulled on me, guns pulled on me, and so I've faced violent people before. It wouldn't be news if I had to do it again, but I certainly don't hope to have to do that again. Do I have the tools to do it? Sure. I have firearms aplenty. I have a lot of ammunition ready to go. I've got armor for every member of my family. We're very prepared for the worst. But I'm hoping for the absolute best. And truthfully, I'm hoping that what President Trump and his team are doing is going to do what they say it's going to do, that it's going to blunt the spike of the virus, and that we're going to find that somehow this virus is actually going to be dealt with in such a way that in a couple of months, we'll be able to go back to semi-normal at least. I mean, people will be able to go out and do their jobs, and people will be able to do the things that they enjoy doing again without necessarily worrying about how they're going to feed their family or what they're going to do in order to make money to pay their bills. Now, as I've walked through the store here, you've noticed that there are some areas that are pretty vacant, sure. But there's a lot more food in this store than was the first time I walked in it. I mean, for example, you saw the bread aisle was full of bread. There were some sections that were a little missing, but mostly the bread aisle was pretty full. Look at this aisle. It's completely full. Now, the frozen section's still struggling a little bit. The meat section was struggling a little bit. There were no eggs to be found. So, if you're picky and you say, well, I absolutely have to have this particular item, then at this moment, yeah, it might not be there. However, I want you to notice that there is bacon. And so I was looking at the price of the bacon, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Life is better with bacon. Life is always better with bacon. So while I was there, I grabbed some bacon. So we didn't have any bacon in the house. So now we do, and that's pretty cool. But you'll notice, a lot of it is sparse, and there's not a lot there. But at the same time, look down the aisle a little bit, and there's all kinds of food down there. Last time I came in here, there was no milk. There were no eggs. No, there's no eggs this time, but there was no milk. There was this whole milk thing you're seeing on the right, that was empty when I walked in this store the last time. There was no water, no nothing. And so, really a lot of the food that was not here when I went through here the first time is here now, and I'm very inspired by that. So I'm seeing the supply chain continue to work and to restock the shelves. And I'm also seeing that people are not panic buying like they were before, and that's allowing the stores to catch up so that they can restock the stores. So I really think we need to stop freaking out and start caring more about each other than we do about our fantasies of an apocalypse, and start taking care of our neighbors and at the same time being kind to them. I got to tell you, as I walk through this store, everybody I ran into walking through the store, and everybody I've run into walking through any store, has been incredibly polite. In fact, everybody I've walked into or walked around and bumped into since this whole thing began has been incredibly polite. I recognize that not every neighborhood is like that, not every town is like that, and your experience, your mileage may vary. But in my experience, people are just going about their daily lives, trying to take care of themselves and their family, and you don't need to strap on your exposed carry cannon or carry your rifle to the grocery store to go shopping. It has not gotten to that point. Frankly, I don't think it will. It might. So, yeah, is it good that you're ready? Sure, but I just want to pull us back, if I can, to the idea of having hope for the future. If we don't have hope for the future, if we're hopeless, then, gee, that's a terrible place to be in your life. That's a terrible way to live. Now, I want to take you over again. I run you over here to this produce section again. The reason for that is that when I was in this store, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago, this produce section was absolutely bare. I mean, there was hardly anything in it. And just to walk around, look, the produce section is completely full of food. Now, that, as I said, this was completely stripped bare the other day when I walked into this store. There wasn't anything. There was a couple little things, but nothing that you could actually buy and make a meal out of, or nothing that you could sustain anyone out of. And look, this whole counter on the right was bare, and it's not right now. So there's nothing for you to be horribly freaking out about as far as I'm concerned. That's my opinion. Now, what I am going to show you is some fun I had setting up my camp stove just in case we needed it. So we'll do that in just a second. Okay, you may not be able to see this because the sun is really bright and I'm probably at the wrong angle here, but what I've got here is a setup for my camp stove. This is a Northern Territories camp stove, so you can see it's 2-burner. And it normally takes those little propane bottles. And you can see that's where it hooks up right here, is on this little regulator that takes little propane bottles. Well, I was watching YouTube, and a guy had one of those, which is this cable made by Coleman to connect your normal propane tank to your little camp stove. And I thought, well, I'll order a couple of them, because at first when this thing started happening with the coronavirus, I thought, I've got a bunch of those little bottles that, we've bought 3 or 4 barbecues over the years, and I realized I've got like 6 or 7 of these little propane bottles, so I went over and filled them up. So I've got this just kind of sitting on a table out here. I put a piece of wood underneath it, just in case it gets hot. I don't want it to in any way damage my little table. But I thought, I'm going to try this. And then I used to have a Coleman camp oven, and I can't find that thing anywhere. So I just ordered one on Amazon because I thought that'd be kind of a good thing to have. I've used them in the past. And I also ordered a welding blanket, which will take an enormous amount of heat. And I'm going to take that and make a little cover for that camp oven, because if you've ever used one before, the wind blows and it carries on and so on. And I actually saw a video where a gentleman and his gal made a cover for it, and that helped them a lot. So I'm going to link that video so you can see how they did that, because that's exactly what I ordered. And then once I've got it done, I'll show you. But I just tried this rig, and it worked out pretty good. Now, I ordered 2 of these because I have a friend in the military who's famous for saying 2 is 1 and 1 is none. And these hoses are fairly inexpensive, so I ordered 2. You'll notice that it doesn't thread on the outside of the propane tank. The fitting is threaded on both the inside and the outside, and this actually threads on the outside, or the inside rather, of the propane tank, where everything else I have, like my barbecue, threads to the outside threads. But that's okay. It's still awesome either way. It's threading the way it's supposed to. So let's see if it's going to light. I'm going to set the camera down here, and I got a little tripod for the camera, and we'll see if we can adjust it accordingly, and maybe we can see whether it lights. It did a few minutes ago when I tried it. I got nothing but a little bitty lighter because I burnt up the other one. So I want to make sure I don't burn myself. What do I do with my little lighter? So I got my little lighter here, and I'm going to turn on this valve. This does not need a regulator, because this little valve on the side serves as the regulator. That's what it says anyway. And so we'll see. You can hear it. Hear it? There it goes. That's 1. There's 2. And obviously, if I need more fuel, I just go over here and open it up a bit more. And that's got my camp stove going. So that's awesome. That allows me to run my camp stove a lot longer without having to have the little bitty bottles die on me, and buying those little bottles is kind of expensive. So this is a way to just take your regular can down, propane bottle, 20-pound propane bottle, and fill it up. And I don't know if you can see down here, but I can see the reflection of the heat on the table. But it's working brilliantly. I can feel it. Very warm, very nice. I'm going to turn it back off and turn off both burners, and then turn off this regulator. And then when you're done, grab the camera again. You just come over here like you would on your barbecue and turn off the bottle when you don't want to use it anymore. And there you go. How brilliant is that? So I just turned the bottle on a little bit because I was a little concerned about overpressure, put too much pressure on it. But this little regulator seems to work really well, and I think once I figure out exactly how much to turn each one so that it works brilliantly all the time, that's a great little setup. You know, between that and the rocket stove, I got thinking about the stupid rocket stove. Between that and the rocket stove, we have off-grid ways of cooking, because we have an awful lot of propane, and then the rocket stove just needs a little bit of wood, and I've got actually a fairly decent-sized wood pile, and the rocket stove doesn't burn very much fuel. They burn very efficiently. So there's my little camp stove off-grid cooking setup. And as soon as the oven comes in, I'll make the blanket, and we'll show you that. But I will put a link to the gentleman's video where he shows the blanket that he used, because it's his idea, not mine. I just thought it was brilliant, and I want to make sure that I give him credit for that. So this is pretty cool. All right, there you go. That's day 3 here at the in the California lockdown.